So here's another function. This is called a rational function. You're going to have a numerator and a denominator, but the steps are similar. You ask to find the slope of a tangent. You're given a point. So you're going to say, let me set up. Slope of tangent is going to equal to f at a plus h minus f at a over h. Now, if you write that on a test, you're going to lose a mark. What's missing? Right? People are still here. What's missing? If I write something like this on a test, I'm going to lose a mark. Oh, good. Some of you are telling me, yeah, right. Make sure you put this, right? This is important because that's new. This is what we're learning. You have to put in the limit. Without the limits, right? People say, oh, I get all of my work right. How come you're not giving me perfect? Well, your notation is not right. Without the limit, this doesn't make sense, right? This is just the slope of a secant. This is not slope tangent, right? It's fundamentally wrong if you don't put in the limits because you're just finding the slope of a secant. You're not finding the slope of a tangent. The slope of tangent is the fact that the value of the h, that little bit, is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's almost like zero. And that's why we can say this slope of secant is equal to the slope of tangent. So this is very important. Make sure you keep it there every single step until you reach to the end of the question. Okay, so here my a value was 2. So I need to find f at 2, and I need to find f at 2 plus h. Now what's f at 2? We're going to put 2 into the function. 3 times 2 plus 6 divided by 2. This is 12 divided by 2, which is 6. If you get 2 plus h into the function, this is 3 times 2 plus h plus 6 divided by 2 plus h. Again, anytime you see the letter x, you have to replace it with what's inside the bracket. Maybe I'll use this. See the x here? I guess you can still see the x there. So you need to replace this with the x. You need to replace that with the x. Just like what we did here. It's just, that's a 2. But here it's a 2 plus h. So this one's going to be a little trickier because you're going to get 12 plus h over 2 plus h, right? 12 plus 3h, you see. When I try to rush a little bit, I make mistakes too, so you got to be careful. Okay, distributive law, 6, 3h, 6 and 6, 12, 12 plus 3h over 2 plus h. So this becomes limit h approach to 0, 12 plus 3h, sorry, my writing board didn't register well there, plus 3h over 2 plus h minus 6 over h. And we have many students struggle with fractions, right? This is like, you know, it's like a big gap, a big void in their life with fractions. I have students every year come to me and say, I don't know anything about fractions. Don't ever give me a fraction question, you know, ever on the test. I said, well, that's not how it works in real life, right? You can't go to your boss and say, you know what, yeah, only give me whole numbers, right? Do not give me any fractions in life, right? I cannot deal with it. So I can't give you that promise. A rational function by default is a fraction. That's called rational function. Now, how do we do fractions? So if you have something like this, right, how do you subtract them? Well, the key with fractions is common denominator. You can only add and subtract when they have the same common denominator. So here you will have to make this a common denominator. So 1/3 minus 15 over 3, so that they are the same denominator, and you can subtract the top. So here, the top here, what I need to do is I need to make them a common denominator. So limit h approach to 0. I'll leave the h at the bottom. I'm not dealing with that yet. This is 12 plus 3h over 2 plus h minus 6. 6 what? Well, I have to make them common denominator. So 2 plus h is the denominator. 2 plus h has to be multiplied in there as well. Okay, so now I have a common denominator. I can add and subtract the numerator. Okay, so let me expand and simplify a little bit. Right? Generally, because this is a grade 12 class, I don't really need to go show every single step, or I shouldn't have to show every single step. So here, if I expand, this is going to be minus 12 minus 6h, right? Distributive law. So 12 minus 12, great, canceled out. You have 3h minus 6h, you're gonna left with negative 3h in the numerator. Okay, so common denominator and add and subtract the numerators here. So it's 12 plus 3h minus 6 times that, which is minus 12 minus 6h. Okay, now you see the h at the bottom and the h at top cancel. So again, they have to cancel. If you don't cancel, so you make a mistake somewhere. Limit h approach to 0, negative 3 over 2 plus h. Now what happens when this h value is so small it's like 0? Well, then the slope of the tangent is going to be negative 3 over 2. Anytime you have a rational function, right? Fractions, pay attention to common denominator. That's usually the most common mistake. Students are having trouble adding and subtracting this part, right? They try to cancel here. Well, you can't cancel them. This is a subtraction. You have to make the whole numerator and cancel with the denominator. So this part, you have to do common denominator. You have to make them the same denominator before you can add and subtract the numerator, right? And that's really the key for any rational functions, anything that contains fractions. Remind yourself that you need to do common denominator.